Good afternoon, everyone. 2 thumbs up from Coach Mike as he's joining me. Welcome, everybody, to the first ever true Damn Good Average Bowlers podcast, everybody. How you doing, Coach Mike? You were excited today, bud.
Yeah, I haven't been able to sleep the last couple of days.
So with me, I got Coach Michael Price and Curtis Rideout. They are joining me. We're your broadcast crew for today. So, thank you for joining. How's everybody doing? It's a long Thanksgiving weekend. I hope everybody's been doing great. Watching lots of football, eating lots of good food. Crazy game yesterday.
Yeah, I had a heart attack.
Man, that was nuts.
I didn't even see the last play. I was in the bathroom because I thought we had lost.
It was nuttier than squirrel turds, I'll tell you what, man. But Curtis, thanks for joining us, buddy. You're always here. You're a staple of this place and the brand.
Yes, I am.
So, well, the first thing we wanted to do today in the podcast is kind of talk a little bit about each one of us so you know who you're listening to through these broadcasts. And so, Coach, let's just kind of start with you, bud. You actually did a pretty good vlog the other day, talk about us a little bit. If you want to recap that and lead us in, and we'll go from there.
Well, just a little bit about the brand. Damn Good Average Bowlers, as I said in the blog, came in off of a kind of a stupid idea. And I say that because I wasn't expected to get to this point that it is. But we did it, it stuck to the wall, and here we are. And I'm sure we'll go in a little bit more as we go on, so I don't want to take up too much time, because we got a lot of stuff to cover today. And like I said, I haven't been able to sleep in 2 days. I've been really excited about this. The tournaments today for the Invitational Only, I'm really excited about that, because a lot of first-time bowlers, first-time tournament bowlers, excuse me. So we got that going, but I'm just excited to be here, my friend.
I am too. So to touch on that tournament real quick, yeah, because we got a lot to go over today. The tournament that we're doing today is for the Sunday Night League. It's an invitational for people that have been in the Sunday Night League only. And what you're wanting to do is very cool. Kind of tell us the point of the tournament, why you created it.
So, you're a member of the league.
I am.
A lot of these bowlers, I kind of consider our Sunday Night League like the AA, AAA of baseball, because our league is not sanctioned.
Right.
And this is an opportunity to kind of get them some exposure. So, like, if they're wanting to really, like, become a more top level bowler, if that's their idea or their goal, I should say, then this is an opportunity for them to kind of get an idea of what the tournament environment is like, because it's a lot different from league itself.
It's quite different than league.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. I've watched a lot of tournaments, and yeah, the format is completely different. It'll be really interesting to see how these people adapt to that for the first time.
It's not only a different format, but it's a different environment.
Oh, completely.
I mean, even when I took a break from league, I was in a league like 15 years ago before I went back in the military, and it was sanctioned. It was a lot of fun, but I hadn't done it in 15 years. I came back even just to Sunday Night League. I'm not kidding you, the first night I pulled on this new league, I was stepping with the wrong foot. I was nervous, like I'm thinking, what the heck's going on? I know how to bowl. And I just had to kind of tell myself, it's like, chill out, idiot. You are still just bowling, but environments are different. So I think that's a great thing that you're doing, because it can be a little nerve-wracking.
Yeah, oh yeah, definitely.
So real quick, well, not real quick. That's just a thing that I like to say a lot of times. But Curtis, my friend, I got to know you as soon as I got to the alley. I've been here about, what, 5 or 6 months now, I think?
Has it been that long?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, going on
Wow.
6 months, I think. You were one of the first dudes I met here. You're just a good guy. I think we clicked right away because it's like, hey, you're cool, bro. Well, you're cool. And it's all about good people, right? That's what we like. So, got to know you a little bit more, but, I found out too, I didn't know this, you're sandbagging behind. Sings and plays piano, this guy.
Yeah.
Yes, I do. How'd you find that out?
Me.
Oh, really?
No, that's very impressive, man. I like stuff like that. Like I've read when Zach's a published author, you do that. Those are cool things, man. So, Curtis, why don't you tell us a little bit more about yourself?
Well, I mean, I've been working here at the bowling alley for almost 9 years now.
Has it been that long?
Yeah, I know, right? I blinked and I was supposed to be here for a summer bartending 9 years ago. So clearly I like the place. Got it took to me and I'm still here and I enjoy it a lot. It's very fast paced, very fun. You get to meet interesting people. I think most of the friends that I have now, I've met working here.
So with that, do you bowl? How avid of a bowler are you?
I bowl off and on because my work responsibilities sometimes get in the way of that. I'm in league right now, one of Mike's leagues, much like the Damn Good Average Bowler League,
Mhm.
just for fun, beginners, having a good time. Learned a lot from Mike. When I first started, I had a 98 average. And I took some lessons with Mike, a couple seminars. Now I average about 198.
Dang.
So yeah.
All right.
You gonna tell them how we met? Like, who said what to who the first time?
Oh, let's
I
hear this.
walked into the,
You were in the snack bar.
I was in the snack bar and Mike was the very first person to come up to me and say hi. Literally, I was deer in the headlights. I had never worked in this kind of industry before. I did construction most of the time.
Mhm.
So I had no idea what was going on. Came to me and said, hey, my name is Michael. I work in the pro shop. If you need anything, you can just ask. And then after that, whenever I was feeling overwhelmed, I would walk into the pro shop and just talk to Mike for a moment. And that actually stays true to this day, that if I'm feeling overwhelmed, I go into the pro shop and I talk to Mike.
Yeah.
Good with that.
I mean, that's a great thing to do, and I mean, that says a lot about you. Really, I think that's a great example of why the three of us are sitting here right now.
Mhm.
Is simply just not even having the courage, but just the decency to go and say hi to someone, a new worker, new person, or somebody that you can tell may not look like they're having the greatest time right now, or they're struggling, or they're not sure, or whatever. Just simply go up to them, hey man, how's it going? Welcome to AMF, how's this going? Or simply just start a dialogue. Because like you said, that's how things start. That's how the brand started. We threw out, even you said, stupid idea, and here we are.
Yeah.
You just went and talked to him 9 years ago, and here we are.
Yeah.
Here we are.
Well, you never thought that was going to happen.
No.
Well, one of the things you gotta understand too, one of my strengths, I take great pride in, is the fact that I like talking to the new recreational bowler,
Mhm.
because where league bowling is going, most of the leagues here now are basically, short season leagues,
Mhm.
and we came up with that formula, Curtis and I think, we came up with that formula because it keeps people's attention. Most traditional leagues are like 30+
Yes,
weeks.
that's what I
So
remember.
it's a long time, and a lot of people just don't want to commit to that amount of time, which is why our Sunday night league and the Wednesday night league that he's bowling in are usually an average of 16 weeks.
Mhm.
It's like you got 4 months committed instead of 8.
Yeah.
So, that is one of the things about it. And two, I like being in the pro shop in the position that I'm in. A lot of the people that are like the lower average bowlers, like, I want to eliminate the stigma of, oh, well, he's the house pro and, he's not going to talk to me. I've never believed in that because I've come from the area where, again, I started bowling when I was 5. Like, that's, 3 decades ago, I'm telling my age. But, I
Still a
mean,
young buck,
well, yeah, someday
Still
they'll
starts
feel
with
it.
a 3.
It does. For at least another 10 or 11 months.
Yeah.
But no, I believe in, if I can get the recreational bowler believing in themselves,
Mm.
they're going to want to do stuff like this. And right now we're sitting at like 49 or 50 entries, which I know we'll go over a little bit later, but that's how many people have committed a spot to this tournament tonight. That is, like, some of them are from the last league session, yourself included, and some of them are alumni, which I started the league originally as platinum doubles. And then when this brand really took off, I was like, you know what, I need to designate a league, and we made the name change, and everybody was in favor of it, so here we are. So this next league coming up will be the 3rd league under the Damn Good Average Bowler moniker.
Nice. Couple things that I want to touch on.
Mhm.
I think a lot of those people are doing that out of appreciation. Like I said, I've only been here about 5 or 6 months, and that was one of the first things I was asking you. Is, hey, when can I start a league? That's all I knew was like a 36-week league, because I had done 3 of those.
Yeah.
But we lived for it is when the poker boom happened.
Mhm.
Because when Chris Moneymaker came out and that started text told him, I don't know if you remember what I'm talking about.
I do not.
And you do out there, we played poker all weekend and then talked about league on Monday nights. It's the only time in my life I've ever looked forward to a Monday night. Was when I was on the league. But I was asking about that, like, hey, when's the long league? I wanted to get in there. And you were kind of like, well, don't really do that, man. Like, we've got these. And I wasn't crazy about the idea at first because, we don't like change. And I knew the 36-week leagues. But then I've gotten into this and we just finished it. And I think it's a perfect fit.
Right.
I think it's fantastic because we end with, like, what do we have, a 1 or 2 weeks break?
Yeah.
2 weeks break, and then we pick right back up. And so you don't feel as committed. But there's really different leagues. There's leagues for everyone here. And one thing I want to talk about next is the handicaps a little bit. How does that even the field? Because a lot of us, we just kind of take a lot of this terminology for granted, right? Well, I don't know much of it, I'm learning. But we have another great thing that we're doing is there's different levels of everything from the house pro or even regional guys to dudes that used to average 98 or that do average 98.
Right.
So how does that handicap, kind of like today, for instance, without going too far in the tournament yet, just on handicap, how can that help level the playing field?
It really depends on who you're asking. I'm not even kidding. If you can ask certain people about handicap, and you could have about as long as our show is going to be today, a debate about what is the right amount of handicap. Now, usually what USBC recommends is whoever the highest average in your league is, then base it off of 90% of that. But some of the leagues do not go off of that.
That's kind of averaging on a curve, isn't it? Like they used to do back in school.
Yeah, you could say it like that, most definitely. Another thing is, again, I go back again, I say it again, who you're asking. Because for a bowler like myself, and people know me, there's no sense in me withholding it back. Like, I cannot stand handicap. I know it is a necessary evil because I'm a scratch bowler, so it's a necessary evil. I understand that part of it, but as a competitor, there's nothing worse than when you get beat scratch and you're giving the guy or gal sticks on boot.
Yeah.
So that right there, it's just, again, it's just what is good for a set of people. Our league on Sunday nights 90% of 210, and we honestly I think we only had like 2 or 3 above that threshold.
Yeah.
So that's a pretty good league standard, if you will.
Yeah. And so scratch real quick. Again, we want to cover this for everybody from people just getting into bowling to, the pros. So when you say scratch, what does that mean?
That means, for example, our league is 90% of 210. If you average 209 or more, you have no handicap.
Okay.
Which is what the term for scratch is.
Yes.
No handicap.
Yeah, no handicap.
Yes.
So if the league, and again, same thing goes, like, for example, our Monday night league is 90% of 220. So anybody averages over like 219 or above is scratch. They have no handicap their name.
It can be tough sometimes. Yeah, it's hard. That's what people don't understand. When I'll talk to a lot of my friends who have no idea about bowling, which is fine. They'll just come in recreational and grab a few of the house balls and tossing them, which is perfectly fine. That stuff's a lot of fun. But I find myself talking a lot more bowling lately to my friends that don't know anything, and I'm trying to explain these things. And I'm like, man, if somebody's you could start 100 pins down in a match, and you're playing catch up from the very beginning.
Story? No,
Please
I'll tell
do.
a story for you.
Yeah.
So I remember back in the day, I believe it was right around Wes and I. This shows you how long ago this was. We were bowling in youth league at Playmore. There's these 4 girls on the team. They had over 500 pins.
Oh God.
And now we come back in just to show you the deficit we were already entering with before the game even started. And we won 3 out of 4 points from them.
Wow.
And it's just one of those things, the game that they beat us, it's kind of a mixture of, did they have a good game or did you beat yourself? And you never know. Like, you look at it, and that's what you have to look at. A lot of people will cry foul, they'll cry sandbagger. That is a term I wish honestly it would go away, because again, as I said earlier, necessary evil. As a scratch bowlers, they're not going to be a fan of handicap at all. But somebody has to be able to be allowed a good game.
Yeah.
Like the 160 average bowler that comes out and shoots 240 or 250, dude, they are stoked about that.
Yes, they are.
And it's like, and then you got like, pitiful me over here going, oh my goodness, I can't believe they had how many sticks? And it's like, can you just be happy for them?
I hear more than anything in league, it's a statement here over and over and over again. How come everyone with handicap wants to bowl their best game against me? Every time they bowl me, the people with handicap bowl great. I hear that all the time.
I can't lie, I've been that. But if you're gonna lie, I've been that bowler.
To that point about the story with the girls, I have the flip side of the perils of, I guess people call the perils of handicap. This is just about 6 months ago, I was watching a league, 4-man team, and one team, every person on the team has about 100 at minimum of of handicap each man. So they're going in 400 plus. The other team they're bowling against, maybe their whole handicap total was maybe like 130.
Yeah.
The team with the 400, each member of the team bowled over 200 that first game. So at the end of it, with their handicap, their games were like 302, 312, and yeah. And of course, the opposing team was livid about this.
I mean, I can't lie, I would be too.
I mean,
If we're being, you know, this is the honesty table.
If you, and I've said this time again, Curtis has heard me dozens of times, if there's ever a game where I shoot a perfect 300 and I lose my point, I will retire.
You say you lose your point. Oh, you
Like,
bowl
if
a
I'm going
300 and
somebody
still lose
heads
the
up and I
match.
still lose, I will pick up my stuff and I'll call it a career. I will take up underwater basketball.
he's gotten close like once or twice, and I'm like, oh God.
And sometimes I was pulling for the other person, please.
And you think,
Retire me.
you think that would be crazy, but I watch a lot of all the PBA tournaments with my boys, so we all bowl and nerd out over that stuff. We watched, you've probably seen this too, when Chris Prather bowled a 300
Yep.
in Matt. Who did he lose to, do you remember? It was Butcher or something like that, I think, but
Had to be at the-
dude bowls a 300 in match play,
Yeah.
loses in the roll-off, does not move forward. Do you imagine that?
Because if it's the tournament I'm thinking about, that means they both shot 300 against each
No,
other?
no, it was first to 2, I think. So somebody had taken
Oh,
one,
okay, yeah. so
and in the
game
second
one,
match,
two.
so it's
Okay.
tied 1-1 and went into a roll-off.
Again, victim of circumstance.
Man, yeah. And that was, I couldn't believe it at the time.
Yep.
I think he might have even beaten Belmo for that. Or Belmo beat him.
There was one tournament, because there for a while, Birchhoff was the hot hand. He was the hot hand, he could never finish the tournament, and then he finally won it, and I think it was against Belmo, if I'm not mistaken. If anybody can correct us in the
Yeah.
comments or something, if we didn't get that right, please let us know.
Also, if you're watching out there, thanks for tuning in, everybody. We really appreciate it. But if you have any questions, comments, concerns, and notice anything, want to share anything, want to shout out even, whatever, at any time, shoot it in there. We are monitoring the comments, and let us know. That's the reason we're doing this, is to interact with as many people as possible, from the young, terrible bowlers, not that they are, I just mean both ends of the spectrum, to the older veterans. No, because something you touched on earlier that I think is great also, we have youth leagues here. I mean, my kids bowl on Saturday mornings.
Right.
So there's everything from the youth to the senior leagues here.
I think that's so really nice, because what I've noticed with the youth leagues and all the other leagues is, especially when I first came here, at times, there was literally 3 generations
Yeah.
of bowlers in here that had, I mean, parents, and then they probably conceived their children in the bowling alley, and
It
then
was a good Friday night.
I got right. But the interesting part about that is, with my 9 years here now, I'm actually seeing the 4th
That's
generation
very
now
cool.
come in. And I'm like, that's insane. I mean, I guess it's a family tradition. You like one thing and you're just gonna stick with it. And I think that's incredible.
I agree.
And they have a sense of community too also, because I heard them say sometimes the only time the family's together is on league night.
And I remember one of the first things you had told me, because I'd asked you, like, this is before I worked here, whatever, first month or 2 here, we had already, been chatting, and I just said something, like, and you had mentioned, yeah, I'll be here 365 days a year.
Yeah.
And it is, bowling's one of those things that I remember from a kid with all the cousins and everything. It was kind of what you had to do was either bowling or the movie on the
Yes.
holidays.
Right.
Which I think those are great memories, so I think that's a great point, man, and it's something that is a constant, really, the bowling alley. Like, some things change, but it's pretty basic. It's not gonna change too much over the years, like everything else has changed in this day and age.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's a great place to bring numerous generations. I think that's very cool. So I wanna ask you real quick, going from, man, you added 100 pins to your average. huh?
I did.
That's pretty impressive.
It was not overnight. I want to
Of
say that. It
course.
was not overnight.
So what do you think was your biggest struggle throughout that process?
Head game. It all came down to that at the end of the day. Getting out of myself, and that in conjunction with Mike's lessons, getting out of the head game meant listening
Yeah.
to your betters when they're telling you something. When I first took my first lesson with Mike, He said, let me see you throw the ball. I threw it. He said, okay, we're gonna change this, 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 and this. And I said, so we're changing the entire thing. He said, pretty much. So literally, I had to unlearn everything. And then the head game of, well, this was working for me before, and in my ignorant state. No, it wasn't, because I was averaging 98.
But it felt safe.
Yes, it felt safe.
Mhm.
And then, I mean, he added 2 more steps, moved me back to the right, hold your arm like this, throw like this. It was, and it took time. I had to apply those things over the course. And then as I gained more knowledge, of course, you start to understand from what he taught you, oh, I need to move right. Oh, this is what Mike said to do. So that was a bit, but head game, not getting angry, big thing. Big thing. Stay out of your own way was a big lesson to learn.
Yes.
Yeah, because last week I didn't stay out of my own way. I bowled bad last week. It was, and again, excited about this stuff, not so much about my league bowling. So,
Zach actually has a really interesting comment here.
what's that?
Fun fact, did everybody know that 10-pin bowling was created because 9-pin bowling was made illegal?
I did not know that.
I know.
Honestly,
You
all
took the
my,
test.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
took the
yeah.
test.
Very well played, Zachary. I was taking one of my tests yesterday in the computer right there. And yeah, so I wish I could elaborate on that more. I don't remember. But yeah, it was originally 9 pins and you couldn't gamble on it for some reason? Or you know?
They were gambling on it.
They were, yeah, but I mean, legally you weren't supposed
Yeah.
to.
So they outlawed 9-pin bowling. So they said, workaround, add another pin.
and what they don't understand is they actually kind of cursed us all because everybody hates the 10.
Yeah.
Freaking pin.
Or the 7 pin if you're a lefty.
Yeah. Nice little tidbit there, Zach. We appreciate that.
Chase Shoulders just said, people can't accept constructive criticism anymore. They feel like you're talking down to them about how they're bowling.
Brother, we're gonna start a different rabbit hole there.
Yeah.
You're absolutely
Well,
right.
okay, so to the point of coaching, you gotta understand, like, as long as I've been in the business of bowling, there are different perspectives regarding the game.
Yep.
Coaching is a huge part of it, and for somebody that has given as many lessons as I have, the biggest thing, if you're gonna be a coach, if your goal is to be a bowling coach, or a coach, if we're honest, a coach in any sport, or coach in life, whatever, first thing you have to accept is the fact that one coaching style is not going to benefit everybody.
Right.
You have, and one of the things about my lessons is, I will literally, with the first lesson with a person, I will have about a sit down 15 to 20 minutes out of the whole hour, and I'll talk to them.
Mhm.
Like, get to actually know them as a person, because if they, I don't understand coaches that just wanna go, like, dive right into it. You need to know who you're working with.
Yes.
And you need to know their strengths and their weaknesses, and you need to see just how well they respond to that.
Mhm.
Now, one of the generation of people I've had probably the most difficult time with, and this is not a knock, I wanna make that clear, is the younger crowd. It is a lot more difficult to communicate with them. And again, I don't think it's to their fault.
Correct.
It's just one of those things
Fully to
where,
their fault.
well, yeah, okay. But, no, but I don't, like, but my thing is, my point to that is, some of the kids I've worked with, one of the things I ask, and that leads me right into, you know, you said it, rabbit hole. So,
Yeah.
I worked with a high school. There was about 7, 8 kids, and I asked every single one of those kids, I said, raise your hand if you wanna be here. And out of those 8 kids, 3 of them raised their hand.
Oh, wow.
They put their hands up.
At least you got honesty, I guess.
And no, I appreciate that. And what I did was I said, okay, cool. I said, when we're done here, I said, your answers are anonymous. Nobody's gonna know which. And I went out there and I got all the parents. I said, can you guys please come in here? I would like to talk to you. And of course, they're like, yeah, so how are you gonna put us in the right position? I said, well, first of all, I said, 5 of the 8 kids that are here don't wanna be here. And I said, it's not for me to tell you who, but I really think that you should take them home today. I said, I'm going to work with everybody to the best that I'm able to, but when you get home, talk to your kid. Like, see what's going through their mind, because I think most of the time, the kids just want to be heard. They want to know that they're being heard. I cannot emphasize that more than anything. Kids want to be heard. That's my biggest thing, so do not go down the rabbit hole. That's not part. Good job. Kids just want to be heard.
A lot of times with that too, I started years ago, I don't want to go on a fun tangent on this one, but I kind of created, this was when I was still in the service, and we call this the pain muscle right there between the eyes, right? You can just tell when somebody's like the brow furrows, you know what I mean? And I would just do that. That was kind of my default position. Now we call it resting, whatever face. But I would just,
Resting bitch face.
I would be sitting like that, and people would come up, it's like, Sergeant Cass, why are you so mad? What are you mad about? And I'm like, what are you talking about? I'm not mad.
Oh, is that the look?
I'm looking,
There's the look. The eyebrow went down.
what do you mean? They're like, well, you always look so pissed off. I'm like, I'm not pissed off. Like, are you gonna give me a reason to be pissed off?
Now I'm getting
But
mad.
No, but it was my appearance. I was not mad at all. But I just did not want to talk to anybody that I did not have to talk to. I already was dealing with enough things. I had enough stuff going on, and I guess that was my unconscious way of putting up a wall, saying, if you don't have a reason to talk to me, please do not talk to me.
Approach at your own peril.
Right. But I think a lot of that can be also criticism in the right time and place, because there are people from the day one. I planted the seed with you. Kind of recruited each other because you were talking about recruiting me on your show, and I've been wanting you as a coach. You know what I mean? So I would say those things about, hey, what's up, coach?
Yeah.
Hey, coach, this and that.
That's
coach.
why you call him Coach.
Right.
Okay.
And I finally asked him, like, hey, do you mind me calling you coach, by the way? I think it was the first time I said it on air. But I think the right time and place for criticism is the big deal. But also, man, like you said, dude, like a lot of these people, we get set in our things.
Yeah.
Sorry, I didn't mean to be aggressive with the pin there.
Are you mad?
But no, what do you mean, why? But no, that's a great point, man, and most people can't. That's why I like to be a people person, but I also don't have a high tolerance for stupidity anymore. So that in itself, I think, keeps me from talking to a lot of people, because I don't want to shoot my blood pressure back up, you know what I mean? Anyway.
So we don't like people. Let's work in a bowling alley.
I'm in the back. I'm in the back of the house.
That is
You
good.
know,
That is
you know, it's funny you said that, because last night during that game, I was getting ready to come down here and watch the second half, and my mom was like, what are you doing? I said, you know what? That's a good point. Let me just go ahead and sit back down here on the couch. I'm glad I did.
Yeah.
So,
But I'll tell you what, this is, and I'm not making this up, both you guys know me enough, if you've talked to me out there in league or whatever, like, I'm not gonna say something just to say it,
right.
but this is such a good environment here. The AMF seems like it to me so far, but all the people in this place are solid, you know what I mean? So it's healthy environment. Touching back on one of the things that I think, Curtis, you had mentioned it, working with Mike, and then I noticed it too, I even jotted down a note of just having the support. You touched on something really good, man. A lot of people wouldn't do that, and that's really just the quality of a leader as a coach, of getting to know who you're working with first. That's so crucial and important. You have to figure out a way to go on the same frequency, figure out, like you said, what am I working with here? How receptive are they gonna be? What are they not gonna like? What are they gonna do this and that? What's gonna be your struggles with this person, essentially, right? But I remember one time, you're talking about getting out of your own head, this and that. I had thrown, so it was a non-league game, so that means that oil is probably drier, typically better for the regular bowlers, right? And I remember I threw 243. I opened with a 5-bagger, and then, I don't know, I finished 243, and my first thought was, great game, it was a lot of fun, but it was non-league. So that means the pattern is easy, the shot's easier. And I come in the pro shop, just to touch base with you, whatever, and was like, yeah, it was a good game, it was 243, but it wasn't league, or something like that. I mentioned basically implying that it wasn't as good if it would have been in league or on fresh oil. First thing out of your mouth, do you remember what it was? Don't do that.
Yeah.
Don't do that.
Don't do that.
Don't do that. And I said, what? And you kind of touched on, don't take that down. Don't take that away from yourself.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter what pattern it was thrown on. You still threw it. And that's just the type of people. That's my point. Is that's the type of people that are here.
That goes back to my point. Again, you shot your game.
Mm-hmm.
You felt really good about that, but then you were kind of like your own worst enemy.
Yep.
When you're your own worst enemy, that does, a lot of people don't understand just how much that knocks you down a level. And I can tell you one time, I was my last 300 game.
Oh, my last 300 games.
I'm sorry.
No, dude, I'd be right.
No,
I'd have a ring
but
on.
I want to make a point to it. So it's recorded. You guys can see it on the YouTube channel in a short. It was number 23, if anybody's wondering.
Number 23.
The Jordan.
I threw that game. I come back and the guy's recording me. He goes, "All right, good job, Mike," and I just gave a thumbs up.
Yep.
And then later on, that same guy, he looked at me. He goes, why are you not excited about these anymore? And I said, don't get me wrong, if you saw what was going on the inside, like I was excited. But there was a long time ago, about 2010, I shot my 6 300 game and I was extremely animated about it. And one of the bowlers in this community that I have high respect for their bowling ability looked at me and said, hey, how many is that now? I said, oh, that's my 6th one. He goes, okay, well, act like you've been there before. And let me tell you something, I was so mad. Like, I was like, if only I could have the talent that you have of your pinky, would I be as good as you? And you're sitting here telling me this stuff. And that was like me, again, 13 years ago, so I'm 13 years younger, I'm in a different spot mentally. And I left, went and got a bite to eat, calmed down, I come back in, he was still in the bar, and this is down at Parkway, and I was like, why'd you say that to me earlier? And he goes, Mike, you still have one more game to bowl. And I was like, okay, that does make a lot of sense. Because my next game, I was so mad, I shot a 170. And the guy I was bowling against, lined up against, he shot 300 on me the last game. So I was like, even doubly
So you
pissed.
shot 300 on him, and then he returned and shot 300 on you.
And I followed mine up with a 176. So, but he told me that, and I tell you guys, that was June of 2010. Fast forward to November of 2010, and I go 257, 300. And when I shot that 300, my teammates looked at me and they were like, hey, are you okay? Like, that's not the Michael we know. I said, we got one more game. And I started that last game off with the first 8, finished out with 250. It was 250 something, shot 811, shot my highest set to date with that.
And then did you celebrate like you hadn't been there before?
That was my second 800, so no. But I was happy. But that's the thing you gotta understand is like, and going back to that last 300 I shot, is he looked at me and he was like, you just don't sound like you're excited about it. Like, I'm excited about it, it's just, I'm keeping myself in tune.
Sure.
And that's kind of one of the things I want to encourage people tonight that are bowling this tournament. Stay within yourself. Make your mark. Stay clean. Don't worry about what everybody else is doing. Focus on you. Because if you do that, the rest of it will take care of itself.
Here's a question concerning that. Nerves.
Yes.
I remember the biggest case of nerves I ever had. I was about to shoot my first 700.
Wow. That's because you were bowling Andrew Delgado.
I was bowling Andrew Delgado, and I was determined to win, and I beat him that day. I did. I beat him. But I'm up in the 10th, and I have the first 2 strikes.
Mm-hmm.
I don't really need anything to get this, and I don't know if I threw it in the gutter or I messed it up, ended up with 698. And when I was up there, my hands were shaking, my legs were shaking. There was no hope for me at that point. How do you combat that?
So one thing I have learned, let's say if I've got the first 9 strikes of the game, no, I'm just saying. Let's just say, no, because it don't happen, guys, it don't happen all the time, come on.
We know it at least happened 23 times.
That's beside the point. But what I tell people all the time is when they're going after something that they've never achieved, you have to take a breath. All this stuff's gonna sound cliched, but take a breath. And the thing about it is get your heart rate under control.
Yes.
I cannot tell you how many times, like I purposely, if I'm ever in a spot where if I'm my last shot for 300, all I'm telling myself up here when I'm on the approaches is whatever you do, just roll it good. Because I can accept hitting the pocket, leave a 10 pin, go 299, whatever. If I come back and go, I rolled that shot pretty good. You know, I've left an 8 pin for 299. When you leave an 8 pin, you're like, how did that stand
Was that
out?
like 2 weeks ago?
No, I shot 298 2 weeks. I just straight up choked that.
Oh, okay.
I choked number 24 potentially
It's
off.
funny you say that because I asked a question about nerves, and maybe a year ago I was watching the Senior League Bowl, and one of our female bowlers had the front 11.
Yeah.
And she gets up there, everything looks good. She throws the ball. That thing goes in the gutter, maybe 3 feet in front of her. That's how quickly, right there. And I asked her, I said, what happened? She goes, I got up there to bowl, and then I realized everything got quiet. I noticed everyone was watching me. And she threw it in the gutter in front of everyone. And you know, I love the way, because when it happens, you just go, oh, which is just like the cherry on top of like the shame at that moment.
Yeah. Well, I've always told people the amount, like, and again, if you talk to people that have numerous 300s, you know what they'll tell you? They'll tell you stuff like, you know what, there's gonna be a day, I wanna go after 291. Because how many people you know shot 291?
Yeah.
But let's make a ring for 291.
And to someone from my people, I'm like, shut up.
Right, right. But again, it goes around to who you're talking to.
Right.
Know your audience.
Yeah. Being in tune. One thing too, let's talk about, let's go back up a little bit when we talked about sanctioned versus unsanctioned,
Yeah.
right, for the bowl or the leagues that we have. How many sanctioned leagues do we have here? And then what's the benefit of sanctioned over, is it un or non? Unsanctioned? I
Non-sanctioned.
knew I'd get it wrong whichever way I said it.
I would say unsanctioned.
Non-sanctioned.
Non-sanctioned.
It could be either or, honestly. It's just, I hear more non-sanctioned.
Non-sanctioned.
than sanctioned.
What if we just said ain't sanctioned?
Ain't sanctioned.
It ain't
You're gonna
sanctioned.
create something new. We're gonna go viral.
I think that it ain't sanctioned.
Hashtag ain't sanctioned.
So, ask the question again. Well,
I already forgot now. What's the difference in sanctioned and ain't sanctioned?
so, basically, USBC is the governing body for the sport of bowling.
United States Bowling Congress.
That's it, yes. USBC for short. Most of our leagues were, and then, and I guess I'm the trendsetter here because it came from my leagues. Because there are a lot of people that are like, why do we want to be sanctioned? You know, questions of that nature. You know, and I give them the diplomatic answer because, you know, again, it's like it's up to the people. When I'm doing my leagues, and then, you know, you've been in a league meeting with me for Sunday night and everything. It's just like, what do you guys want to do? Let's take a vote on it,
Sure.
you know, because whatever you guys are going to do, I'm going to enforce it. So, sanctioned, a lot of tournaments are sanctioned and leagues are sanctioned. Because again, like, what happens if that person rolls their first 300 game? We've had that happen in this Sunday night league.
Oh man, I've seen those. That was right. That was Roy, wasn't it?
Yeah, Roy
Right down
shot.
the lane from me.
But one of the things I do to make up for it is even before Cashley on Wednesday night was just sanctioned about 2 or 3 sessions ago. I literally go online and I purchased a trophy, and I didn't purchase just some little basic, you know, like run of the mill trophy. Speaking of trophies, you know, we got this right here.
We'll come back to this.
Yeah, so but that's kind of the idea, you know. And I gave Roy a trophy. It's like it's the least I could do, and you know, and it kind of, in a sense, it helps me encourage those people. Like, hey, look, this right here. If your high game is 240 or higher or whatever, you know, whatever you're happy with is what it comes down to. No, seriously, give the sanction league a chance and see what you think.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, absolutely.
But our league right here, like I said, our league is the minor league. It's like just to get your feet wet, you know, basically my league helps get eyes on league bowling in general.
Was that really Roy's first 300?
I honestly don't know.
Because that dude's been killing it in the league. Like, what's his average?
He's coming in the tournament tonight. He's at
Roy
218.
Foreman, 218.
Yeah.
Yep.
Dude, I mean, yeah.
No, Roy's bowled for a long time. I've drilled a lot of bowling balls for Roy.
Dude lays it
I do
down.
want to say in terms of what he talked about with his trophies,
Mhm.
I do love the culture it still is created within the ain't sanctioned leagues. There's still like something they can strive for. There's still something tangible they can get for their accomplishment to
Yeah.
market.
And
And
genuinely surprised.
they usually are because they're in an ain't sanctioned league. So they don't think they're going to get anything except a round of applause and a pat on the back. It's like, no.
Right.
We're also going to present you with this. Put this up somewhere. You bowled your 300.
Right.
And actually, did you start that in Parkway Strong?
Yes.
And there was a league Friday night, Parkway Strong, and he has the culture so embedded in that he passed the league on to other people, but they still do it. Now they have first, second, third place medals, things like that, and it's really fun that even though they ain't sanctioned, I'm gonna keep
I love it. I love it.
But it still, like I said, it still gives them something tangible, because that's something we always talk about in the bowling industry. We come at a deficit sometimes because they come in, but they don't leave with anything tangible from being here. So what are you giving them? Experience.
Yeah.
So Mike is giving, like even with this tournament, he's giving them experiences. And that's, I think, why his leagues are actually so popular. Now we have almost 50 people who've most never bowled in tournaments before bowling in this tournament.
And that's a great point. Again, coming back to a lot of things we've talked about. I have 2 boys. My 7th grader Branson's bowling on the high school team for the first year for Hazel Green. And before his first match, it was just a few days beforehand, and I thought I was in there talking with Coach Mike, And I was like, man, I wish I would have thought to order him something beforehand to commemorate his first bowling match, you know what I mean? Because he's 12 years old bowling on a high school team, that's pretty cool to me,
That is.
right? And so I was like, I just wish I would have gotten something engraved, this or that, and like now I don't have time. And he's like, dude, just get him a bowling pin from the vet after the match. Talk to Wes, you know, and see if you can get a pin that he threw on. And I was like, dude, that's freaking awesome. That's amazing. After the match, talked to him and asked, you should have seen Branson's eyes light up. Like,
It will never, it never fails to amaze me how much people get excited about these things right here. People love these things. And then I realized, wait, I have one on my mantle at home. So yeah, never mind. So yeah, every bowling pins.
but also too, like, which are awesome. We all love the tangibles,
Yes.
like you said, which is true. But also, man, it's not only when you getting this cool thing or whatever cool thing, it's the freaking thought of it, man. It's one, having the thought to do it. A lot of people have those thoughts, they just don't execute.
Right.
But then it's going through with it and doing it. So I think just the action of you doing it almost means more than the thing itself.
Because like I said before, we are experts in the art of selling experience,
Yeah.
giving experience, memories,
Intangibles.
and candy.
So, again, we got any questions, anything going on up there we can talk about, let us know. Again, thank you for joining us here at the
I'll
house.
give you a heads up, Derwin is a few minutes out,
Okay.
so we might be able to take some time here and kind of go back. I didn't really talk a whole lot about the brand.
Let's do that. No, that's a good point. I've been wanting to do that anyway. So we'll go back and get it in depth, and then if we can, I can go into some of my bio. We skipped over that, but not a big deal. Nobody can trust me. But yes, with Damn Good Average Bowlers, DAM. As you see right behind us, the beaver there, the mascot, there's a few of those. Tell me as close as you can to the day or the time when you felt like, oh, Harry Beaver here, and Damn Good Average Bowler, the brand was created or the thought of it was born.
It was right after I shot my highest sanctioned set to date of 825. I'm not even joking.
That's
I
very impressive.
I went home that night, and of course, you know, I posted it on my Facebook page, and again, I was using a Brunswick Melee Jab Blood Red. So, pictures posted, and my good buddy Socks. Whole name is Jackson Styles. I've been working with this guy since he was a sophomore in high school. Coached him up. He actually won a state title with AHSAA with Buckhorn.
Does he still have the record?
He still has the youth record. Yeah, he has the highest sanctioned youth record in Huntsville. I think it's like 858.
Good Lord.
Yeah, he shot 300 also to boot in the youth league that day. It was July of 2018 when he did it.
And just in case you're wondering, I know most people probably know, but that's for a 3-game series.
Yes.
And 900 is perfect, which that's just ridiculous. That's 3
Yes.
perfect games in a row to get to 900. So, I mean, that's very impressive.
So he left a comment, and it really got my gears going. He goes, boy, I tell you, because there was a ball from DV8 called the Damn Good Verge.
Mhm.
That was out at the time. And he said, boy, and he saw that I had a shirt that said Average Bowler, and every time I wear it around here, I do it, try to get people to say something to me.
Mhm.
They'll give me some little smart aleck comment, like, oh, you know, that's BS, Michael, stuff like that. Well, he saw me wearing it one day when he was visiting, and then leading up to that Facebook post, he commented and said, boy, I tell you what, that's something a damn good average bowler would do. And I don't know what happened. It was 1:30 at night. I'm delirious. I'm coming off that high after shooting that set. And I was like, damn good average bowler. You know what? That makes sense. And then I was with my ex at the time, and she was doodling in the living room. I was playing a game. She was doodling. I said, can you draw me a logo? And she goes, well, what are you looking for? And I thought, damn good average bowler. And I was like, I don't want to do damn good verse, because they were spelling it like damn.
Yep. DAM.
And I was like, I don't want to do that, 'cause I don't want to like infringe on that. I said, damn good average bowler. Boom, beaver down. And I thought, DAM, good average bowler. She come up with this logo and a couple of others that I was like, obviously I didn't like because there's something off done, but she drew this one. And I was like, that's the one. And then my good friend Jasmine, I sent the picture to her. She took it, colored it in, put all these colors with it and everything, and what you see. And that's how it came to be. And I remember the first time I wore a hat in here, it was a Sunday, and I had 2 or 3 people, dude, that's an awesome hat, can I get one? And I was like, boy, I'm on to something. And it caught fire, and the rest is, you can obviously see the multiple hats.
On average, it is not uncommon in here to see people in league now wearing the shirts, the hats. He's a local brand here in the building.
Oh, sure, you're probably gonna see a few of them tonight, for
Uh-huh.
sure, like, the green ones stick out a lot, that's the Christmas one?
That's the Christmas one.
The Christmas
Thanks,
crop.
Will. Will said love the set.
Thank you. Let me say this, okay? It goes without me saying this, okay? And it's gonna seem like I'm sucking up to my boss, but I'm not. But for real, I have worked under Jeff McCordy for April will be 17 years. He's the one that gave me the opportunity. So when I came back on in 2007, he gave a punk 22-year-old kid a chance because I was really just reckless. But he really brought me into my own. And again, if Jeff doesn't hire me, this is never a thing. So like I said, my boss, like I said, I love my boss. My boss has been very, very good to me. So I appreciate you, Jeff.
We're wearing the collaborative shirts between that right now.
Yes,
Yes.
yeah.
Well, and I think it's just another good example of the environment here and the caliber of people we talked about. He gave you that opportunity, and look where you are now, though, doing all the things that you're doing. So you're doing some amazing things here, man. Not only the tournament tonight, the podcast, the brand, strike and spare derbies, all of those things. So I think his chance on you, well paid off.
Oh, yeah.
And it's awesome,
Definitely.
the things that you guys are doing here. So.
Well, I tell you what, you guys keep it on going, and I know our guest is officially here.
Okay.
So you are be rocking and rolling here. in
Go
a second.
touch base. And, all right, so we continue on with the broadcast here at Invitational Palace.
While we wait, why don't you go back into your background a little more? Because we kind of glazed over that the first part. Because we want to know, they know who I am, they
Sure.
definitely know who Mike is.
Right.
I'm going to find out who Dustin is.
So I just, January, I retired from the military, 20-year service between the Marines and the Army. I was infantry in both, a lot of deployments all over the place. You can keep that, man. This is my merch.
Your
It's
merch?
Caps Wisdom merch.
Oh,
Yeah.
hell yeah.
I've got my merch coming back too. So I did a lot of stuff there, which we can, there's nothing redacted that I can't talk about anymore. But with kind of more of what we're doing here, actually The Wizard of Oz was my acting debut.
Really?
In 8th grade.
I've never seen that movie. That's for another discussion.
Let's move past that, shall we? No, I mean, iconic film. I think most people out there probably seen it. I Was a Cowardly Lion. In 8th grade, my buddies and I were gonna go and audition as a joke, making fun of it. And I was the only one that showed up, and I got the part, and it was a ton of fun. Like I was always like make people laugh anyways, being goofy, this and that. I was like, now I get to do it on stage, and it was just a lot of fun. And so I've been in theater all through high school. That was my first varsity letter, actually. In freshman year, but then sophomore year I lettered in football, which that kind of evened it out. But theater all through that. Did the Marines, got out, went to community college, and studied, acting, improv, theater writing, all that type of stuff. Loved it. And I started doing comedy. Acting and improv are my best two. Stand-up comedy is actually kind of my weakest of the three. I kind of put them into categories like that, like sing, dance, instruments.
Dance. So
Yeah, I don't dance. No. Yeah. Those are the three that I can't do.
Oh, okay.
The three that I can do is the acting, improv, and comedy, right? And I had an opportunity, I actually hosted a comedy show in Eugene, Oregon for a year straight, every Saturday. That was back in probably 2006, 2007, before I came back into the military. It was fun, it was a lot of fun. I mean, I studied it then. I was like right there every Saturday I ran the show. I was studying the comedians, I was the fanboy, like, hey, blah, blah, ask them all this stuff. And then I actually got to the point where I could go on the road as a feature doing, 25-minute sets.
Really?
Yes, but I did not have the money to do that. Because you have to get yourself from place to place.
Oh, okay.
And I simply didn't have the money. That's when I went back in 2007. Got out. Actually, I was still in. I started doing comedy again while I was still in. In 2020, right after the shutdown, this place in Fayetteville, North Carolina, Patty's Irish Pub, they were reopening and looking for security. So one of my friends was like, hey, you want to do security, make some extra money? I'm looking at like $1,000 worth of knife making stuff I just bought during the shutdown, because I make knives and blades and stuff too.
Okay.
And
What don't you do?
I started their security, and I looked at the page because I'd never been there to the place, and I saw that they were doing a stand-up comedy show. I was like, oh, that's cool. I want to talk to them about that eventually. So I got on security, and I told the guys, like, hey, I understand I'm applying to security. That's what I'll do. But at some point, I would like to talk to Patty about the comedy, because I used to do it. So I ended up a couple months later, like 3 in the morning, we were waiting to get paid out, whatever, after shift. And had like a 30-minute conversation. Oh, it's brilliant, you know, just a great Irish guy, man. Patty's a terrific person. And he was like, do you want to open for us next week? And I said, yes. You know, we talked about a lot of opportunities, things like that. And, you know, we stop ourselves from these things. Because I hadn't written comedy in 15 years. I hadn't performed stand-up comedy in 15 years. So I think most people would be very easy to say like, well, let me see if I can write some material, then I'll get back to you. Let me blah, blah, blah. And they're going to lose that opportunity. But I was like, yes. And now I had 6 days to write some material, you know, which I actually did. It was a lot easier to write after some more world and life experience. And with there, I basically ended up taking over, and I ran that show for a year or so. And a lot of things there, a lot of cool, he had a terrific, Jaden Frost, who's a terrific editor-director out of Charlotte. He came, we would film. I got to send you guys these videos, they're great. I got to do
I would love to see them,
Stranger
actually.
Things, all types of stuff. So I started my own podcast, Caps Wisdom. That is on Spotify, season 1's on Spotify. And doing the comedy and all types of things. I work with some bigger groups. So very familiar with talking
Clearly.
in front of things. But I mostly just like finding good people, like finding good fits. Like Mike said, things just happen for a reason. People come along at the right times. I'd come through Patty's at the right time and just exploded, and it was fantastic there, you know. And I feel like I'm joining you guys at the right time to help build this brand up from ground zero. So that's in a big nut, whatever the big nutshell might be, you
So
know.
we have Dustin Caps, we got bodyguard, soldier, blacksmith, comedian,
Yeah,
Jack of all trades.
a lot of things.
singer, dancer.
No. You don't want to see that unless I'm a few beers deep and it's still terrible. But no, man,
So,
I think
karaoke night, we got you.
yeah. Well, I like to continue to learn, you know what I mean, and experience things and broaden horizons.
It's like you don't let a fear of failure make you say no. You just
You should seek out failure. But what I mean by that, let me be clear by that, is no, especially as we get older, kind of going back to maybe something that Chase touched on, as we get older, nobody likes to look silly or stupid or fail, right? But how do we learn things? How did you go from 98 average to 190 average? By failing.
a lot of failure.
By
yes.
failing, seek failure. Gary Vee says it. Fall in love with failure. Try it over and over and over. Rich Dad, Poor Dad. You're gonna fail. Business is gonna fail 9 times out of 10. And guess what? Start 10 businesses. Fail. You're gonna learn. You're not losing if you're failing. You're only losing if you're failing if you're not paying attention to what went wrong. That's what they
You're
are.
doing a seminar right now.
Well, sorry, I'm getting into my type of job. That's the type of stuff I do on my show. But it's true, you know what I mean? And I think once you become comfortable in your own skin and you're okay with failure though, when you see somebody, it doesn't matter what the task is. It could be a janitor, but you can tell that they are just happy and they're doing their job, they're taking pride in their job, they're gonna have the shiniest floor. You can't help but it's like, I kind of want to watch that for a minute. That dude is vibing, he's doing fantastic. It doesn't matter. I think Denzel might have said it doesn't matter what your job is. You're flipping burgers and making fries at McDonald's. Make the best burgers and fries you can make. That's a show of your work. You know what I mean? That's a reflection of you. It doesn't matter what you're doing. So anyway, I'll wrap it up with that. Sorry. I believe we are on set with our first guest. Is that right?
That's right.
All right, man. Y'all want to come over and join us?
Come on, girl.
I apologize. I was long-winded.
We're going
there.
to leave this to you for a moment.
Okay.
All right. We got
Come on in, man. How you doing?
Man, pretty good, pretty
Good to
good.
see you
Good
again.
to see you too.
Yeah.
Good to see you too, man.
I actually didn't know it was going to be you. We had changed guests a few times, and I was like, oh, I don't know this guy. Derwin?
Yes, sir.
What's your last name?
Graham.
Derwin Graham. Thanks for joining us, man. We've actually bowled on the lanes together a couple months ago.
Yeah, most definitely when you first moved down.
Yeah, it was fantastic, man. And again, it kind of goes back to the place, the environment that we're at, right?
Right.
I was just bowling there by myself, throwing a few games. I think I probably just bought the Black Widow, and I could build it for me.
Yep. Yep. You brought the Black Widow hybrid.
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah,
and,
that's right.
I was rolling the solid version in 2.0.
Man, you were rolling everything.
Yeah, a little bit of everything.
I think you had at least 6 out there.
Yeah,
balls.
most definitely.
But it was so cool. We're a few lanes away from each other, had never met each other before.
Nope.
But it was just kind of like, I don't remember who engaged first, but we were both just kind of like, hey, what's up? And it just kind of evolved, and you were so cool, man. I think I threw everything that you had.
Yep, and I tried a few of your bowling balls.
Yeah.
Yep.
One of you had the phase.
I had the phase 4 at the time.
Yeah.
I had the Blackwell, the RSTX3, and my GB3, my
Yeah.
Game Breaker 3. Yes.
Very cool.
Yes.
Very cool that now you're sitting at the table with us.
No, most
So, and again, man, that's just the type of place this is. I really appreciate that. I never forgot it, and I've pointed you out to my boys. You know, we've talked a couple times now through leagues and things. So, how long, Derwin, have you been throwing here at AMF Pin Pals?
Approximately 3 years now.
Okay.
3 years now. 3 great years.
Yeah.
I would say definitely from day one up to current right now definitely has been great. Nothing but a learning experience.
And I guess let's start with this. What do you do? What's your regular job? Like working?
Right now I am a cybersecurity analyst for the Missile Defense Agency here in Huntsville at Rest Arsenal.
Yeah, and that's what's up. We got missiles.
These are why they're my friends.
Who's also sporting? Actually, I need one of these beanies, man. I need to put one on order.
Oh,
I
man.
got some.
I love it.
You got to catch up.
I know, man. I gotta cover this bald spot too.
Supposed to get cold.
I mean, it's already cold.
It's
Yeah.
cold, Dustin, man. You
I
gotta
know.
catch up.
Is that what brought you to Huntsville? Or-
Yes. Well, that and also I wanted to be close to the family. I have an older brother who also participates bowling here as well. He moved here approximately about a month and a half before I did. And when I was up in DC, he was just like, man, it's a lot of opportunity here for those who majoring in STEM or within STEM fields. Huntsville is a growing city.
Mhm.
Kind of remind us of back home in South Carolina, and he enjoyed it so much immediately that he convinced me to come down as well.
Not a bad decision. How many siblings do you have?
5.
That's quite a few.
Yes, 3 sisters, 2 brothers.
Okay. A lot of siblings. Where do you fall on the rankings?
2.
Two.
Yeah,
So
I'm
the second oldest?
Yes.
Okay. So you got a little bit of responsibility there.
Little bit.
Is there a lot of sibling rivalry on the lanes?
Oh, with me and my brother all the
Yes.
time. All the time. Like, honestly, we are each other's biggest competitors.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, and that's even when we're on the same team, when we bowling side by side against each other in practice. It don't matter, and we deliberately be that way because competitiveness is how we both get better.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes.
Who's got the higher average in league?
Yeah.
Oh, that voice went
I'm
up there.
thinking.
That voice went up there.
Yeah.
It changes so often, but I think right now I may have him by 3
Nice.
pins.
Where are you sitting at right now?
I am currently at 193.
Yeah.
I'm at 193. He's at 190.
Nice.
Yes.
And so you guys obviously, well, I already knew sibling rivalry is going to be a big thing. We know that. But are you also almost number ones each fan
Oh,
at the same time?
Oh, most definitely. He's when I say I'm his biggest fan, he's my biggest fan. He's also the best coach that I have as well. And we spend a lot of time here at Penn Palace. Spend a lot of time in Mike's shop as well. Yeah. Most definitely. Greatest competitor, biggest supporter.
Mhm.
Most definitely.
Are you guys both throwing in the tournament tonight?
No, just me.
Okay.
Just me.
And so how long did you think, Derwin, you've been bowling just in general? Did you grow up bowling as a kid? Or when you kind of first introduced to it?
Not at all, actually. Not at all. I did not grow up as a kid. We did not. The closest bowling alley to us back in South Carolina was maybe about an hour away.
Okay.
And so,
Yeah.
so didn't really get the opportunity to bowl much growing up. Once again, going back to my brother again, he started bowling a little bit when he was still living in Indianapolis.
Mhm.
And he kind of told me about it. So I started kind of, throwing the ball a little bit when I was at there at NSF Dahlgren in Northern Virginia. Didn't really know what I was doing. Literally met one of the employees there, and she was just like, "Hey, when you throw that ball, imagine shaking a man's hand."
Mhm.
And that pretty much was it with just the traditional plastic ball.
How long did it take before you were like, this plastic ain't working?
Literally the very first day I've ever played competitively in league here, they immediately told me, get rid of that plastic ball,
Mhm.
go see Mike.
Yeah.
Now, to make it clear, there's some people that use their spare ball to shoot at spares.
Right.
Yes, that is true.
Me, I don't. I throw it hard and straight with my reactive ball.
Right.
I'm doing that right now, but I think the next ball I want to get from you, we'll talk after this. But
Right.
I feel like I want to get a solid ball for my corners.
Yes.
Absolutely. White dot, maximum, or T-zone, my friend.
So it looks like you might have a couple questions over there for us.
Well, I don't know what you.
Okay, well, you can chime in. We're all three. Yeah, that's a great question. So, what do you think after you've progressed here? Right? How long ago was this? I'm sorry if you said I didn't catch it.
Oh, you talking about how long I like?
Yeah, like when you first kind of went into the alley and she told you the shaking a man's hand.
Oh, that
How
been
long
about
ago?
4. Yeah, that was about 4 or 5 years ago.
That's not a bad progression to be carrying 193 today. To me, I don't know. That seems pretty good.
We just changed his grip, so he has
Yeah.
no excuses now.
None at all.
So now that you've kind of gotten into it, and you got. So we'll start with this one. How many bowling balls do you think you have in your possession?
Oh God, man, Mike, how many walks in?
He brought me 3 yesterday.
That was just 3 alone, right? I think
3.
collectively right now, I'm maybe the owner of about 11 or 12.
That's not bad.
I think that's literally like 3 or 4 people you've asked that question
Yes.
to. That's been the average.
That's what I was about to say. Yeah, that tends to be a pretty good average.
Again, pro tip here from the pro shop, it's like golf clubs. You know, you're not gonna always use a driver
Mhm.
when you're in the fairway, like you would in golf. You're gonna get a wood or you know, an iron, whatever. So just something to kind of take into consideration.
That's a great point, and I don't know if this will rabbit hole too much again, but for me personally, let's say, because I've got the two right now, right? I've got the Black Widow Hybrid 2.0, and then I've got the Indy Tour Pearl, right? And that's a lot for me right now to be learning those. So if I were to get more right now, how would I figure out, because I can't read the greens yet, I like the golf analogy, right? In my bag of golf clubs, and if I can't read the green, how do I decide what to throw?
So it really comes down to, did I hit my mark?
Okay?
Number one thing, did you hit your mark? If you didn't, then you don't need to think about anything else. You need to worry about focusing hitting your target. Only then can you really make a decision of whether or not you need to change equipment. So if you did hit your, let's just say you hit your mark and it hooked too much. It hooks too much, you want to either go to a weaker ball and stay in the same place that you're at, or you want to migrate, well, if you're a right-hander, migrate left. If you're a left-hander, migrate right. Usually the ratio is 2 to 1. So what that means is 2 boards with your feet, 1 board with your eyes or your target.
That's a great point. I want to chime in on something real quick. On the seminar I did a few months ago, or a few weeks ago, Bob Learn Jr., Mr. 300, a couple of those guys. And man, there was so much that day. It was a fantastic opportunity. But I remember him talking about lane topography and how many variables there are. But kind of the point of me bringing that up is a lot of times people will think that they need a ball change because of the oil, right? Everybody wants to say, oh, the oil's oil, I gotta change balls. But they have not identified the proper problem.
Another thing to your point. Think about who you're bowling on the lanes with. One of the reasons I had trouble last week on my Monday Night League is we had a guy using mainly urethane. What urethane does, and then again, this will be a debate question of like, oh my goodness, should urethane be banned? No, that's not my point. My point is, if they are using that ball, they're going to push the oil down the lane, on the back part of the lane, where it's supposed to be dry. And that's where a lot of my ball reaction, it would like go through its motion like it was supposed to, and when it hit down lane, it hit that oil patch, and my ball wouldn't give me a consistent reaction. So I was like, I'm gonna migrate outside of that and play around that. Well, the downside of playing outside of that is there's not as much oil outside. When there's not as much oil outside, that ball tends to really kick left. And I had a problem chasing that in all night, and I didn't bowl very well. Nobody's fault but my own. That's the first thing I can tell you. If you're gonna ask me about coaching, take responsibility.
Yeah, absolutely. Take responsibility for it and own up. A couple questions for you, back to you, man, our guest on the show. What is your highest game to date, and when did you throw it? Do you remember?
Oh, yes, so my highest game to date is a 278, and I bowled it on September 14th.
Nice, man. How many strikes do you have on that one?
Oh, man, that was, 9 consecutive. Yep, 9 consecutive.
Did you open with 9?
Yes.
So talk us through that game, man. How did that feel? Once you get to about, take us from, from wherever you want.
Oh, man, so the first, for me, it was like the first 3-4 strikes, I'm like, oh, okay,
Yeah.
it's going, it's still early.
Another turkey.
Right, yeah, right. But then that's when you get to that fifth one.
Mhm.
And it's really tough when you get to that fifth one, because a lot of times, by the time you get to that fifth one, you're the only one with that fifth one. So, but then you have to, for me, breathe, keep calm.
Yes.
So then, so after that, got the 6th, got the 7th one, then I got to the 8th one. The 8th one is like, oh man, you really got a chance now, to potentially get your first 300.
Mhm.
So now you're not even focused on the actual competition in the game. Only thing that I was seeing was, oh man, this is my opportunity to get a first true sanctioned 300. So, so then I'm getting to the 9th frame, hands starting to shake. You focusing so hard on doing everything right. Oh man, so then that's when I got to the last frame. And then that's when it was just so nerve-wracking. First game, the lane didn't change, nothing changed. Going back to what Mike says, man, taking that accountability.
Mhm.
Something told me to change, so I don't know, but I was just like, oh man, maybe I need to change, because like maybe my luck about to run out on this mark
Yeah.
here. The same mark I threw the first 9 on. But no, I ended up adjusting, took some hand out of it, thinking like, oh, okay, don't want to put too much hand, because, others done rolled down lane, so I didn't want it to hook or whatever, but I should have just kept doing what I was doing because it was working. And yeah, and then
Talk yourself out of it.
talk myself out of it.
I tell people all the time, positive self-talk is a big deal.
It's a huge deal, but we also get ahead of ourselves in adjustments.
Right.
You try to
Right.
anticipate the adjustments that you're making.
Right.
Can that be just as bad as wrong adjustments?
Yes, if not worse.
Worse, yeah, I say yeah. Honestly.
Because what'd you follow up that best game with? What was your next game?
Oh man, like a 244.
Okay, so that's not bad.
That's still pretty good.
That's still pretty good. I was expecting, like, when I shot my first 300, the very next week I came back, my first game was 102. And I was not happy. Because again, when you shoot 300, your expectations go up to here.
Right.
Like, it just jumps up a notch.
Right. And because you think, oh man, I done shot this 300. I done figured it out now. No, and then I noticed, man, guys start slacking up on their practice. They thinking, oh, okay, I didn't figure out everything. It was actually one of the older gentlemen here, Mr. Lee Burkfield and stuff. And he told me one time on a Saturday practice here, he was like, you become better not when you think that you've had a good game, not when you have a good game, but when you practice so much to where you can't get it wrong.
Mhm.
And even when you're wrong, you still end up being right.
Yeah.
And I took that to heart. Yeah, because that was immediately after I told him about that 270.
Mhm.
But yep, best game.
Is this your first tournament tonight? Ever? Second?
Do you do your sweepers count?
Sweepers count.
Okay, well in this case this be tournament number 3.
All right.
3. Yep, tournament number 3.
So from your first, you've done a couple of sweepers, and we've done 5 here so far?
Yes.
When's the next one?
Next Sunday.
So we've done 5 sweepers here at AMF Penn Palace, and the next one is
December 3rd.
December 3rd. You said this next Sunday? Man, we're in December already. Can you believe
Yeah.
that?
I know, right?
So sweepers are very awesome. We got strike and spare derbies going on. We got the first inaugural tournament that we're doing here. So there's a ton of stuff going on at the lanes. What I wanted to ask you, Derwin,
Yes.
the first sweeper you did, or first kind of tournament type experience, Talk to us about that. Did you have expectations of what you were gonna do, what it was gonna be like? Was it nerve-wracking? Was it just another day on the lanes? How did you bowl? Talk to us about your first couple sweepers.
So the first one, I had better expectations because I done went on YouTube. I done looked it up. I think because it was the 41-foot Autobahn. That was the first one
Yes.
that I
42.
Yeah.
Excuse me, 42-foot Autobahn. I was like, okay, 42 feet of oil, not too much different than the typical house shot length, but then I realized it was completely flat all the way across, and I was just like, oh man. What do I do? Especially with me being a bowler that traditionally starts off on the right side of the lane, try to take advantage of some of that light, thin oil,
Yeah.
get some friction. So just seeing that, it immediately became nerve-wracking because now I'm like, oh man, I done got myself into it, have no idea what to do. I'm just gonna have to wing it. I didn't know if the bowling ball arsenal was the right arsenal for me anymore or anything. Definitely nerve-wracking, but in a fun way. In a fun way. I definitely want to make that. Definitely want to make that part clear though. It was extremely fun. Just completely different from your traditional typical house ball shot that you do in league. A very, very unique experience, and glad I was able to do it here at my house alley.
Yeah. And that's, again, kind of leading me right into my point again, is they are so fun because of, I think, what you're doing, what the, again, environment, what's being done here. They are made to be fun events because people are comfortable with them.
Right.
There's, I'm not gonna say no egos because I haven't been down in the pits a whole lot, but there's gonna be egos with that.
Right.
But again, it's kind of like you talked about with your league meetings or anything else. It's clear that you're running the show, but it's also clear that, hey, you're looking out for the group. What do we want to do? It's about us. It's not, I'm doing this, blah, blah, blah. That's, again, the environment here. That allows us to come in and do fun things like that. Was that your first time? Because I kept hearing sweepers. It didn't click in my head till I actually saw Bolden one in Montgomery. Was it different for you having to move down the lanes each time? What do you think about that?
Oh yes, and that's because I'm super big on things being the way they are, tunnel mindset. So having to adjust after each one, it's like, oh man, you done got comfortable with one lane, and then nope, you have to shake it up a bit and go to the next one, and then not knowing what the individual players are throwing on the other lane, like going back to what Mike was saying earlier, you had your lane right here. Everybody else could have been throwing, your traditional solid pearl, but then you go right on the next side, you see 3 purple hammers that have been thrown on this lane right here. So it could be something completely different, So that was probably the most challenging. It didn't allow you to get comfortable.
Yeah.
It didn't allow you to get comfortable. Not
And that's
at all.
tough.
That's the purpose of
Yeah.
these sweepers.
Yeah.
A lot of the times you get some people out here that never bowled on a tougher oil pattern, and they get out here and it's a very humbling experience. And I talk from experience too.
Oh no, that same Autobahn one, because I was literally coming off of a 640 night, just that Thursday and one of the other leagues I'm in. And then I come out there, man. Game one was like 169. I looked at everybody else. I'm like, okay, I'm still in the chance to win high game. Man, that second game, I've seen a 98. I don't think I've seen that a 2-digit score in years, and I was like, man, this is an experience. But it was one that was definitely very humbling in a good way as a competitive bowler, and two, it also allowed you to see, like something that you don't traditionally get in league, because you have so many. Because like me and a lot of my buddies that come here and bowl, we all kind of started in together, grew into Penn Palace. Penn Palace literally become our second home. And then when you hear a lot of the guys who hit the Alabama Hall of Fame, Huntsville Hall of Fame here, and then they tell you about their experiences outside of Penn Palace, going to Vegas and going to, New Orleans, these other places where you see these leagues with these house shots. But leagues, you have your traditional house shots. So this was like the first opportunity that we was actually able to have to even experience a sports shot, because you don't get that too many places at request or anything, especially here in this general area. So with Mike being, starting these sweepers, allowing us to see these different types of lane conditions, these different types of patterns, it's a great experience for us to be able to utilize these sweepers, you know, to be able to be more prepared for other bowling aspirations that we have. And, you know, and it's just overall a great experience, a new experience.
Yeah, and it's an incredible opportunity we have right here in our home lanes.
Right.
Like you said, you would not normally have these things. You'd have to travel to go and do these. But again, we have Mike and damn good average bowlers bringing that right here home.
And that's what I tell everybody too. We're in that part of the season where tournaments are going on everywhere. Even if you don't come and bowl in one of my tournaments, wherever you're going, go out there and bowl good, man, and bring home some money. Do what you do. Because I know next week we're bowling on 35-foot boardwalk, and there's another tournament going on in Tennessee. I know some of our guys local are going up to that one, and I tell people like I have no issue with that because we're not even in peak tournament season either. Like January, February, we're really going to be in peak tournament season.
Right.
And we've also got, like I said, we're gonna have 8 more. I got 8 more. And
Yeah, that's freaking awesome.
We're gonna get into the more. If people thought that these oil patterns that I put out were something, we're fixed to start hitting the pro patterns. We're gonna put out a couple of pro patterns.
So that's a great segue again. You guys are fantastic as usual. Coach, can you talk to us for a minute about sport shot, or I guess let me start with house, and then rec, and then sport, and then pro?
House and recreation are one and the same.
Okay, now we're talking about different oil patterns.
Right.
That's what he's gonna talk to us a little bit about.
So when you come out and you bowl your league, they have what we call typical house shot, THS, house shot. Some people get sarcastic and call it the Great Wall of China, depending on how easy it is. And what I mean by that is like every place has a different house shot. And I'll give you guys something to think about here. Okay, you have 2 bowlers. Bowler A bowls in 2 different houses, and bowler A averages 220 in both houses. And then bowler B bowls in the same 2 houses, but bowler B bowls in one house and averages 230, and the other one he averages 200. Which one would you think is the better bowler overall and the more consistent?
Bowler A.
Why's that?
Because they're maintaining the same average in both houses,
Able to adjust.
able to adjust accordingly.
There you go.
Nailed it.
Yeah,
you got it. No,
I was
so
nervous
You
there for a
graduated
second.
from bowling
There you
school.
go. You're done. Congratulations. No, but the thing about it is like some of the people and that's why I got out here on a Saturday. I was working, and Derwin and Ricky and all y'all were out there bowling, and I was like, I really need to come out and try this. And one of the main reasons I put these together is I want to provide the perspective of having a greater appreciation for the house shot. That's one of my main goals. It's kind of like you come out here. I'll give you an example. I'm not going to name names, but I had a guy come out here, one of my sweepers, and his first 2 games were 50 and 98. He was very down on himself. He was very discouraged. And I looked at him, and you know what? I'll tell you exactly what I said to him. I said, "You had more guts to come out here and bowl on the tougher stuff. And if somebody says anything to you about bowling a 50 or a 98, don't worry about it, because at least you had enough guts to come out and give it a shot. You bowled higher than they did, so it's just something to think about. Just something for everybody to think about. It's a learning experience.
Absolutely, and with that, coming back to what my man Curtis and I were talking about a little bit, and I'm sure you've experienced it a lot of failure, bowlers, is failure. You have to experience that failure,
Oh man,
because that feeling sucks.
Yes.
that's life's greatest teacher.
Yes.
Really.
And you learn from that, but you said it yourself too. That's a great point is, man, you had the stones to come out here and do this
Right.
on a different pattern.
Yep.
That's what I would tell, I helped a lot of comedians get started in North Carolina, getting on stages where we do open mics and things like that. It's something new. They get, man, I've been writing forever. I want to try comedy. And they get up on stage and do it, man. And the first couple times, it's like, do not worry at all about how you actually do. Because you've got the balls to get up there and get on stage in front of people.
Right.
Because that's not easy to do for most. You know what I mean? It's terrible. I've never cared about it. I'm lucky. Computers scare me more than public speaking does. Computers terrify me. But it's kind of the same point as, hey man, doesn't matter if you bombed, nobody laughed, it doesn't matter. You had the stones to get up there and try it. Go ahead.
No, go ahead, continue, I'm sorry.
Follow up on this, I'll just close with saying, most of the time, you get up there, and we're gonna lead you into it too, right? It's like, hey man, this guy's first time doing it, it's first tournament, first time bowling different oils, first time in front of a crowd, whatever. You set it up to where, you're almost like, hey, give this dude a chance, he's trying, you know what I mean? or you get up here and do it type of thing. So most people are going to at least be proud of you for the effort that you gave, because it is this tough, man.
Again, greater appreciation for the league shot you bowl on. That's it's kind of my being an advocate for it. Is like, look, okay, and a lot of people wonder why I call myself a house hack all the time, and it's meant as a joke, sort of. But I really only bowl 2 leagues here. I've bowled on sports shots before. I've bowled in sports shot tournaments before. I've bowled in regular tournaments before. There's so many different kind of tournaments going on out there. And again, I highly encourage everybody, go out and bowl in a tournament. And that's what we're doing tonight. Like I said, most of the people in this field, they've either bowled 1 or 2 tournaments, like Derwin said earlier, or they haven't bowled a tournament at all. Give them the experience, see what they think, and they kind of have an idea of like, do I just want to stay comfortable in bowling the league only, or is this some kind of avenue I could venture out in?
So help us out with that, Coach. If people aren't here all the time, they're watching this and just getting into bowling or whatever, how can they find these tournaments to do?
Let's see here. There's bowltournament.com. You can also check bowling300.com. Those are the 2 that stand out to me the most. And also, there are probably pages on Facebook. And Google is. And again, there's a lot of tournaments I get told by word of mouth. So, but those are the 2 I think of, is bowltournament.com, bowling300.com. And Bowling 300, last time I checked it, it had all the states at the top of the screen. You clicked on it, and then it showed up all the tournaments happening in that state.
Also, I can't speak for other states, but I know here within Alabama, just looking at the USBC's website for the
HUSBC,
HUSBC locally for Huntsville and the surrounding areas, that as well. And because I was always looking for tournaments, because I was like, oh man, if I would see these guys at the tournament, like I'm thinking I'm about to come in and practice, and I'm like, man, they like, oh no, y'all know it's a tournament for the next like 3, and I was like, oh, where's the tournament? Like, so finding them out from there, and then also just stepping into your local bowling alley and stuff. A lot of them still have, they have them posted up right there on flyers and on sheets and stuff as well. So,
all right, tournament question for you tonight.
yes, sir.
How you feeling?
Nervous.
Why?
Really, honestly, I'm gonna just be straight up because I want to win.
Well, yeah.
And I'm nervous because a lot of times when I don't bowl very well, it don't be something. It literally because I get into my own head, and that's and that becomes very frustrating. and I have nobody else to blame but me for that. And it's the easiest thing to fix because you get so much in your head, and the only thing you got to do is don't do it. Just go out there and do the same thing you've been doing on Saturdays. Go out there and do the same thing that you traditionally do in your league.
Practice tip I can give you, Derwin, and everybody out there watching. When you're practicing, put yourself in the position of, okay, I'm in the 10th frame, I need this to close it out. Put yourself in that situation. Feel the nerves and everything, because the more you do it, the less nervous you'll be. So my biggest thing to you is like anybody else bowling out this tournament tonight, keep it in perspective. Don't get outside of the moment and do what you do. Go out there and do what you do. And like I said, it just, did you see the nifty little trophy you have a chance at winning?
Yes,
He did. I did.
But also, I would add on to that, I would say have fun with it too.
Yes.
Oh no, most definitely.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Oh man.
Is that going to change? Oh, you slow roll
Surprise.
Very cool.
Yeah, because that nervousness is oh man, that is definitely a big thing. Just in League Tuesday, all I need haven't missed the 10 pin all night. Going into game 3, last frame, we're literally fighting. All I needed to do was hit that 10 pin. Oh, I get my 200 for the night. Probably would have secured the game. Missed it. All because ain't missed it all night, but because I knew that we were less than 10 pins from either winning or losing.
You see why I tell people not to look at the score?
Oh yeah.
So here's another thing too. So when you bowling in this tournament night, whatever letter you are, find out who is before you, and keep an eye on strictly following them and not looking at the score. I'm telling you, you will notice a difference. If you do not look at your score, you're not putting yourself in situations unnecessary situations.
That's gonna be very hard to do.
It's
I'll give you
extremely
$1
hard.
if you can do that, not no. But no, like kind of your point on the 10 pin and sealing it, doing things on command, whatever it is much more difficult. It's like, yeah, we know you've been getting 10 pins all night, but guess what? Now you have to if you wanna win. This is the one. And it adds all that in there.
The real adversity, and I've faced it many times in as many amount of games as I've bowled in my lifetime. You're hitting a pocket, you're not missing, and that damn 10 pin will not fall. How do you, the only, I don't have the greatest advice for that, because after the third or fourth one, I'm in my own head. I'm upset. I'm like, how can you be throwing it? How are you able to throw it this well and you're not carrying? And all that does is that leads you to tensing up. Your muscles tense up, and then it causes you to throw a more errant shot and put yourself in a worse situation.
That happened to me before, 2 weeks ago.
Mhm.
My first 5, 6 shots, I lie to you not. 6, 9 spares, all of them, all 10 pin stood every time.
Yeah.
And I didn't move forward, I didn't move
Yeah.
I didn't move right, I didn't change my approach. I tried to attack my mark at a different angle, I moved my mark, and it just would not go. And it finally hit after I just said, forget you 10 pin, I'm just gonna roll my game comfortably and go from there.
I feel like bowling in league some nights is kind of like the 5 stages of grief.
Yes. Yes. And you've been to experience all of them.
Yes, in the same night.
Man.
It's funny how the same thing can be therapeutic one night and it's torture the other night.
Oh man.
And Curtis knows. Curtis already knows when I've had a good night or a bad night, because if I've had a good night, I'm usually hanging out afterwards and I'm cutting the run.
Oh yeah.
But if I've had a bad night, what do
man.
I do, Curtis? If I've had a bad night?
Hang out.
No.
No, you get the heck out of here as soon as it's done.
Yeah.
Man, that's like me and my buddies, man. You know, we come out and leave, we took 4 or 5. Oh, we laughing, talking, we talking, see how everybody else doing. You know, went out there and got swept tonight. Well, I see y'all next Tuesday at 6.
I'll be at the counter. I'm like, did Mike leave?
Yeah.
He must have had a bad night. All right.
Man. So I actually have a question for you, Mike.
Okay.
So have you ever experienced, and this is something me and my team experienced, everyone experienced my team. How do you get out those ruts? Like, have you ever started off a league first, it's a 12-week league, first 3-4 weeks, killing it, winning 4, taking 5, and then you go on like a 3-4 week slump where you could barely break 500.
My team on Monday night did that. The first 8 weeks, we were clicking, guns a-blazing, win the first quarter. Now, second quarter, we're on the right side of the standing sheet. Now, another thing I will say from my team on Monday is I missed a week because I was under the weather. Kyle missed a week because he hurt his back. And team continuity is a thing.
Yeah.
Like, it is a big, big thing. Being able to bowl with the right people is a plus. And I tell you, Dustin, when you came on board, it worked so well with you and Greg.
I agree.
And I think one of the reasons is because both of y'all, if I'm not mistaken, are military veterans.
I think so.
I believe Greg is.
Yeah.
I feel like I've seen the pictures on his Facebook profile, and he can confirm because he's
I think
supposed to
you're
be here
right,
bowling
yeah.
tonight. But it's just one of those things. You pick things happen at the right time. And
Thank you for your service.
Yeah, I appreciate it.
but no, like bowling with the right group of people and being in sync with each other is, because most of the time, the secret to success for us on Monday night, y'all, we're talking so much trash to each other.
Oh, yeah.
We're not even focusing.
for sure.
We're not even focusing on the other team.
No.
We're just sitting here doing what we're doing, and it's like, we're giving each other crap. Like, oh, we missed a 10 pin. Oh my goodness, my teammates never let me live it down, and I don't let them live it down. And again, that right there, I think that builds accountability too. It's
It does.
You're sitting there, hey, you're better. Like, you're better than this.
You don't want to be that guy.
Right.
Or when everybody else on the team bowling good and you that one that have a bad night and you could vividly see, like, if you would have at least hit average, you would have won. And now you in your head like, man, should I even be bowling anymore? Like, how do I fix this?
Yeah.
What's going on? I'm putting my ball at the same place this guy is. I know that we bowl the same. What do you do?
Here's a question for you. Out of your team, I'm guessing you're referring to Tuesday nights?
Yeah,
Okay.
that
Who on
just
your
in
team?
general.
Who on your team is the leader? Who's the leader of that team?
Oh, Ocean Clay.
Ocean.
Yes.
Okay. Picture yourself here, okay? If Ocean's having a good night, how many points are y'all normally winning? Are y'all winning more often than losing often?
Yeah. Oh, for sure.
Okay.
For sure.
And I think, again, Curtis is my backup here because my teammates aren't here. But I kind of feel like when I am in the right headspace, my teammates respond well.
Right.
And that's when we have our best nights. But when I'm in a bad spot, it's a funny thing is one night they'll be in a bad spot, and then I'll be like, okay guys, like I really need you here. Like I really need it. This is important. Like, you know, I know it looks like it's bleak. It looks like it's hopeless. But you know, just like last night with Alabama throwing up the fourth in Tuscaloosa.
4-31.
That was
Tuscaloosa.
so insane.
That is crazy.
But that's my thing. It's like at the end of the day, what that should teach everybody is, again, it's not over until it's over. And bringing into bowling, if you get a chance, go back and watch. It's like the 2008-2009 Tournament of Champions between Michael Howden Jr. and Chris Barnes. 6 frames in, Chris Barnes is up 54, 58 pins. And Howden came back and beat him by 1.
Barnes is one of my favorites back in the day. I love Chris Barnes.
I've been watching a lot of the older guys. I think I'm a huge fan of Norm Duke.
Oh yeah.
Everybody
Well,
is.
dude, you can't not love.
You
Duke,
can't not
man.
love that.
There is not
Like,
one person out there that has ever watched Norm Duke and said, you know, I really hate that guy. I've never heard it. Norm is the only guy. I've heard other bowlers that I've had opinions are like, oh, I can't stand that. Nobody said one bad word. And you can't. You cannot say one bad thing about Norm Duke. Like, let me tell you,
not one.
if you go back to 2019 when he won his final 2 titles, he got on there with Kimberly Pressler and said, you know, I don't know if this is the end or not, but we're going to give it our all. And he got choked up about it because it's almost like somebody like Norm was like at that point in his life, like, you know what? I may not have many opportunities available to me to be in this position. And you know who, I think if I'm not, and somebody correct me if I'm wrong, but I think his last tournament title he won on the PBA, I think he beat Belmo.
That's tough.
Yeah.
That's tough.
That'd be an epic way to do. Could you
That's
imagine that?
Mike drop against Belmo. And like I said, if somebody correct me, I think that if he didn't beat Belmo for the title, he did beat him in that telecast to advance. Which is one of them. Which is still.
Because anytime I see Jason Belmore or like Cal Trooper, those guys, I'm like, man, who's the guy y'all rolling against?
Yeah.
Well, I can tell you this, okay, and a lot of traditionalists will give you a bunch of crap about this, that the whole two-handed craze. Guys, get over it. This
It is here to stay.
It is here to stay.
It's not going anywhere.
And you either evolve with the times or you perish.
It is not going anywhere, because I remember when I was in the league back in the day, when I was talking about when poker came on the scene and all that type of stuff, early 2000s,
Yep.
that's when Belmo was coming out on the scene, starting that stuff. And it was just a total anarchy back in the day.
Yeah.
Oh my God, how old are you?
I am 29.
Okay, still in the 20, man, we got, talking about 3 generations here at the table, man.
Right.
30, 40. You know, so I asked, because I don't know if you'd be able to remember it or not, you know?
Oh.
But when he came on, man, and correct me anytime I'm wrong or go in depth on it more, but because this is back when dudes like Chris Barnes, Tommy Jones, who's really one of my favorites, Rash, you know, all of those dudes. And here comes not even an American dude throwing it, an Australian guy whipping it with 2 hands, and it was just like blasphemy.
I see all the comments, like, cause first it was the big argument about people going from 3 fingers to 2 fingers. Like that was the thing for a while. People hated it, you know. But then, you know, people got over that. You know, and now, but with this 2-handed thing, man, like, it's like they try to separate them so much, man. And I was just like, you know, no matter what they're doing, the only person that you can control on those lanes is yourself. That is all.
They still have to roll the ball.
They still got to roll the ball. They still have to hit their mark. They still have to know how to adjust. You know, it doesn't matter. At the end of the day, the only game that you're in control of playing is your own.
Mhm.
So you either get with it or you don't.
Right.
I kind of saw it back then, and then when I get out, I'm getting back into bowling now, 15 years later. It's pretty cool looking back to see what they've done through their careers, you know, because I couldn't really follow it.
Yeah.
But now that I'm getting back into it, you guys help me out. We have our researcher over there. Maybe you can find the numbers if we don't have any idea here. But how many would you say percentage-wise of two-handed bowlers would we have in leagues here and then like in the PBA? Because there's a lot. Like we said at the beginning of this conversation, it's not going anywhere. It's definitely here to
evolving.
stay, and it's a big percentage.
Here in the league, our leagues here, if you're gonna do percentages, it's gonna be amongst the younger crowd.
Yeah.
Because that is, the younger crowd, you're gonna see, so as we get into our 30s, we get into our 40s and 50s,
I'm not
40s.
anywhere near 50 yet.
I'm saying 10 years from now,
Yeah.
you know, and the last thing I wanna be is that 50-year-old going, you know, I remember when this was 30 years ago.
No, this isn't to complain about it.
No,
This is
no,
just
but
to
like,
show.
I'm saying, I don't wanna be that person,
No,
like,
no.
I wanna be the one that, you know, again, I wanna embrace it, because again, it's not going anywhere.
No.
And it is really, one of the things about it is it's really forced us as pro shop operators, you know, we've had to adapt,
Good
we've had to adapt to it
Yeah,
as well.
good point.
And again, there are still things that are being taught and, you know, videos posted about, you know, two-handed bowling, no thumb bowling, and so on and so forth. I can tell you here locally though, Tony Churchy is still the man. I want you guys to know that Tony is the man here in Huntsville. He is 67 years old and he still averages 235 or better. And he has one of the most simplistic forms. And Curtis, again, I'm going to Curtis a lot because, you know, I feel better when I'm backed up here.
Oh, yeah.
He has the most simplistic form out of anybody. If you ever get a chance to watch Tony, come down here on Wednesday nights in our Huntsville All-Star League. I will point Tony out to you personally. And when you see his form, you'll be like, wow, he makes it look that easy. And if I had to tell anybody anything, point of note about Belmo, he's just as good rolling with his thumb in the ball. There's videos of Belmo rolling, not doing his two-handed style. He puts his hand in the ball. People are like, oh, Belmo, you can't roll it with your thumb in it. And he gets up there, and he's just as smooth. He is just as precise.
I will say, apparently this man thought it the craze, but right now 20% of PBA bowlers are two-handed.
20%.
20%.
I can see that increase.
I'm not surprised by that.
It's really increasing with the youth bowlers that are coming in.
Yeah,
also.
exactly.
Yeah.
I figured it'd be higher, to be honest with you.
Yeah. I
But
thought it would have been higher already as well.
It'll be higher in 10 years.
something I want to just elaborate on what you said, because I think it's a great point that most people do not think about with Belmo, you know, saying he can bowl just as good one-handed, just thumb in, this and that. These kids are pros.
Yeah.
So the things that these guys can do with bowling balls, just in general, like the trick shots. I know Barnes used to do the flying eagle one,
Mhm.
the invert, like just,
Norm would do the towel.
yeah.
Norm would do the towel.
If
Would
you're-
put it, you know,
If you haven't seen anything I'm talking about, have you ever seen the trick shot stuff that they used to do?
I did something like on like where they solely have like you know like games where they'll run games and stuff when they do like all of the different stuff, you know, or like when they spinning the ball and then spinning one
Yeah.
ball going down there and
Mhm.
throwing the other one. Very entertaining.
Yes.
Very entertaining.
But you just said it, there's the word right there. That's another thing, again, and, Bolero, they do on the PBA, right?
They'd be on
Yes,
the
I knew that, but again, I like having confirmation, is always good. They have really, one thing I like about it, I think this is a wonderful thing for the sport, they have the resource to be able to invest into the pros. And when you invest into the pros, and they've got their TV deal with Fox, people watch Fox.
Oh, absolutely.
So,
No, I can honestly, I definitely seen an increase in viewership
Mhm.
with bowling because it seemed like bowling was real big. You know, like I guess for me, I would say back in the day with me only being 20, you know, but like 70s, 80s, whatever, you know, and then it seemed like it took a dip. But then, you know, so I was like, okay, I guess bowling is just something people do for fun.
Yeah.
But it wasn't until I moved back here to see how aggressively serious bowling could get and competitive, and now it's starting to grow back again. Like you know, because I didn't even know who Norm, Duke, Jason Belmo, those guys was until I really got in. Now now I'm out here quoting Pete Weber.
Yeah.
Who do you think you
Yeah.
are?
Oh, yeah.
I am. You know, and I was like, I want to be able to have that reaction in a tournament. That and I really just like being good to be around my friends, like to be like, hey, how do you learn how to do that, or how you do this, that, and the third, and being able to be in league, and I can actually speak directly on Damn Good Average Bowler League. I can actually speak on this particular league with Mike. It allows you the opportunity to learn, and what I mean by learn is you're in an environment where you're comfortable in learning. You don't get you're not around a bunch of people who are going to ridicule you for making mistakes, because those mistakes may be detrimental to you and like them, but that's because they've been bowling 10, 12 years and you just beginning. And I think that's what I really like most about just here in Penn Palace in general, but especially with Damn Good Average Bowlers, man. Like you truly get to learn from amazing people, and you get to have amazing fun in the process.
You get to become better with good people in a fun, competitive environment, in a healthy environment.
Exactly, because you have novice bowlers who probably could barely break 100. They're excited when they see one-on-one, and did all the way up to the guys like Steve and Jeff who could literally put up 250 to 300 at any given moment on any given Sunday. So it's great.
One thing I found funny in bowling, but other things, when you start learning more about something, you learn how much you don't know.
Oh my!
So as your actual knowledge goes up, but you learn how much is out there to learn. So it's like, I don't know, shite.
Man.
Does that make sense?
No, it makes sense. And that's just with anything regarding bowling.
Yeah.
Like I just learned about the minus 31 rule when trying to figure out where where your ball should be at based off of the lane condition.
Now, can you go and pretend I don't know what you're talking about?
So, you mean as far as like bringing
The 30.
the 30. So and I'm still. And by all means, please do your own additional research, because I may mess up the explanation. I can only explain it the way that I think that works correct. So when I say the minus 31, I am referring to where you should be placing your ball based off of the oil condition that's on the lane. I think traditionally here, Curtis, mistake me if I'm wrong, I believe it's 44 feet here.
Yes.
Yes. So here at AMF Penn Palace, so you have your 44 feet of oil. The rule of minus 31, you subtract that. You subtract 31 from the length of the oil in the lane, and that gives you a pretty good approximation of where you should where your ball should be at its breaking point. And when I say breaking point, that is where where the ball breaks and begins to hook after it gets out of the oil. Did I explain that pretty?
I think you.
I think I did. Like I said, do your own additional research. I believe that's what, at least that's what I took from learning minus 31.
I believe I just found the next thing I need to study and learn. No, that was a great explanation. I wasn't sure what you're talking about. So, no, that's fantastic. I think that's exactly what we're talking about here. It's a fun place, but you're constantly learning.
Oh yeah.
And there's, oh my gosh, did you ever, when you went from your, I like that example, going up 100 pins over the last 9 years, and your average, which is incredible, was there any point where you just felt like overwhelmed? You're like, there's too much, there's too many freaking patterns, there's too many balls, there's too many variables, it's too overwhelming.
Yes, and at that point, I just pushed it out of my head and just threw the ball. just throw the ball.
It really is that simple sometimes.
There's a lot of noise going around.
Yeah.
You got that, you got balls, you got patterns. You usually have at least 5 different people trying to coach you at any given time on the lane.
Got different cover stalks, different
Yeah.
cores for the ball.
Yeah.
Which one works for what. What to do if you hang, your thumb gets swollen.
I had to just arguing literally with each other once I was bowling league. one guy's saying, move 2 boards left. He's like, no, you need to move 3 boards right. And they're like, no, left. I'm like, I'm just gonna throw the ball. How about that? I'm just gonna throw the ball.
Man, those conditions could even change. Like literally, all the lanes could get oiled the exact same way, but because lane 31 and 32 is close by the door,
Yes.
and it's windy outside,
Yeah.
or if it's summertime and and the sun pointing at this particular
dry up
door,
quicker.
go dry up this lane quicker. And you have to be able to be prepared.
I usually
for
have
any of that.
one thing to say when people like, oh, the lane's drying up too fast. I just look at them, adjust. Adjust.
Yeah.
That separates the good bowlers from the people who just like to bowl. Adjust.
Adjust. Yeah, 'cause it's not much different than you going out there in a tournament where you're bowling, like on one lane, you probably got a 44-foot Autobahn, and the next one you got a 28-foot whatever. It all happens. Just you got to be able to adjust.
Curtis, you're gonna be my spotter on this. Don't let me tangent and rabbit hole too much, okay?
Okay.
I don't know, is anybody familiar with Jocko Willink? You know who Jocko is?
No, sir.
He's a Navy SEAL commander, very famous dude, talks a lot, this and that. But he loves to mention whenever there's a problem, he would tell his guys, good. That means we get better. Hey, we didn't get the money for the new gear. Good, means we're gonna get more proficient on the stuff that we have. Hey, I can't do this. Good, we're gonna get better, blah, blah. I can't adjust. Good, we're gonna learn how to make a harder adjustment. We're gonna learn how to fix this in tournament play. Good, anytime you have something that's a problem or didn't go your way, try to get in the habit of that, saying, okay, good. Now I'm gonna have to make an adjustment on the shorter lane. Okay, good. Now I'm gonna get more proficient in this lane that I thought was gonna be 42
That is
feet.
almost an insanely positive outlook on what could be thrown at you.
Yes.
Right.
And then that's why I say don't let me rabbit hole too much on that, because I could spend a whole episode on that type of stuff.
Oh, you barely started digging. That was
But,
perfect.
right, okay, good. But the things like that are just habit. You start practicing that, and before you know it, that's your perspective on everything. And when you don't have to worry, it takes so much worry away, man. Because you don't get worried, oh, something went wrong. Oh no, how do we fix it? Well, good. How are we gonna, whatever, what are we gonna get better at by this problem?
And when that doesn't work, you kick the ball return.
Yeah, there you go.
There you go right there.
And then, I'm not trained up on it yet, but I may come and fix it. We're here for you. Please don't break our stuff though. We will ask you to leave Iowa security before. I'm kidding.
I must be enforced.
Yeah.
Go ahead, definitely leave for it.
Fantastic stuff here, guys. Derwin, what do you think has been in the sweepers? Let's just stick with kind of the tournament type of playing in today.
Okay.
What was something, if there was anything that was very surprising to you that you maybe hadn't have thought about or expected or anticipated that was either more challenging than you expected or kind of went better than you thought? Was there anything like that?
Yes. For me, it wasn't actually the lanes themselves. It was more so of the setup for the tournament.
Okay.
And what I mean by that is, I thought it was gonna be kind of, like convoluted, a lot of congestion, getting started and everything. But it's actually a very smooth, simple process to me. I thought it was.
It's very streamlined.
Yeah, that's the word I'm looking for. Yes, very streamlined.
This was not rehearsed, and I didn't text him a message or anything like that. It's a great point. And again, it comes back to a theme that we've been talking about today, really starting with Coach Mike and Curtis and what you guys are doing, and putting the events together. We're not only doing a lot of these things, the Strike and Spare Derbies, the sweepers, this tournament, the podcast, all these types of things. It's doing them, and then how do we get better, like real time? So I've said it to these guys, they're probably tired of me saying like, hey, our learning curve is excellent. We are trying to do the best that we can for you guys. We listen to your input. I know Nick talked about it when we interviewed him and Ricky after the Strike and Spare Derby. He's like, hey, even the fourth one compared to the first one, they're getting streamlined. So we're listening to what you guys are saying. Very good point, and I'm glad that you had that outlook on it, man. That's great that you can appreciate that, and so look at that. So that's great for you guys to hear. You heard it. They're more streamlined than you expect. And Mike, you want to chime in on that?
Yep. Like I said, I didn't expect us to be at this point, but I'm so appreciative that it has grown into what it is, and just excited about the future. Like I said, we're doing sweepers, we're doing, the strike and spare stuff is some fun stuff I come up with.
It's very cool, man.
And, like Sunday is the more recreational bowlers doing it, having a good time. The Bean Boozle Challenge. The Monday night is when it gets a little bit more serious with the serious bowlers. They're putting money wagers and such. So, but I just, like I said, just, you know, the Strike Spirit Derby came from as soon as I watched it on TV.
Mhm.
When I watched it on TV, I was like, there's no way we can really do exactly like that, but I could do a point system or just something together, you know, and it's brought on a life of itself. Another thing we haven't really mentioned either is the first season of the Hot Sauce Spare Challenge.
Yes, thank you for bringing that up.
Because I know you were talking about, and again, they come into the pro shop and everybody's asking me what the wheel is. There's like, what's this wheel? And it's like, there's a sign right there, and they're like, oh, so how does that work? And then it becomes a conversation starter.
Yes.
So, yeah.
Give us a quick rundown, would you, of where we're at now? How is the Strike and Spare Derby working, and then when's the next one? How can we get in on it?
The Hot Sauce Challenge, I'm not entirely sure. I am expecting that we'll start season 2 within maybe a couple of months. Because right now the Strike and Spare Derby is kind of taking on a life of its own, so we're going to see how good that does. After this last episode of the Strike and Spare Derby, my mind has really been focused on, again, the sweepers. Those are going to be the main focal point. And when we start winding down the sweepers, we'll have some other stuff. I will be bringing the sweepers back again for a summer tour. I can tell you that right now. This is, we're hitting on all cylinders with it, and, you know, there's interest. There's interest.
Oh, for sure.
But we got a lot of great stuff going right now, and I'm excited for the future.
Can you just run over the actual format for us for the Strike and Spare Derby?
Well, you know, the first episode we did really went overboard.
Just where we're at now, where we're at today, how the Strike and Spare Derby is.
I condensed it to 6 lanes. Each participant rolls a shot on each of the lanes. If you throw 1 strike, you get 2 points. If you have a string of strikes after that, a double or more, it's 4 points per. And if you leave a spare shot, make your spare, you get a point. But if you miss your spare, you lose half a point.
Yeah,
Really
I like
throw
that.
some intrigue.
I like
into
that
it.
aspect of it.
That's pretty much it. Now, we have done a couple of things where it's just been like, you know, eliminator style, where we eliminate a couple of people. And then there's the one we did on the last episode, where we had a qualifying round and then we placed everybody into a bracket and then they bowled each other and advanced in the bracket. I think that was really cool. But, so we could do, it's very versatile. You can eliminator style or bracket style with a qualifier. And I usually leave it up to the participants because they're volunteering their time. But the kicker is if you get knocked out, you have to do the Bean Boozle challenge.
Yeah.
And I've really honestly thought about bringing it into like, so with the Hot Sauce Spare Challenge, you missed your spare, you had to take a bite of a hot sauce with a wing. I'm actually thinking about incorporating both. And the people that do the Strike Spare Derby say, okay, well, if you get eliminated, you can either do the hot sauce or you can do the Bean Boozle. Your pick. And as we know, Curtis is a fan of the suffering that comes.
Yes, that's what we live for, that's what I'm here for.
I've got a great
I
question.
don't want you to succeed.
Well, okay, let's bring this into this. How did that DeBomb hot sauce really do for you?
My tongue was numb for 5 hours, but I'm not big on just straight heat.
Right.
I like heat with flavor. That was just straight heat. I don't know what it
No
tastes
flavor.
like. I don't know what the air around me felt like.
No additional taste. Just straight,
just pain.
straight heat.
It was instant for him. He took a bite and went, oh my God.
And you were nervous before that.
I
Because
was.
I remember that I finished my league and I think I had the boys or something. I couldn't stick around for it. But you were nervous, dude.
Very much
Before,
so.
I could tell.
Is
That
this
was pretty
pepper hot
entertaining.
or
Yes, we're talking hot. You can actually go back and look at our video collection of the first 6 episodes of the Hot Sauce Spare Challenge.
Great point. I think on your YouTube channel now on Damn Good Average Bowlers, you've organized the heck out of it. It's very user friendly. So talk to us for a minute about where we can follow and support Damn Good Average Bowlers across the streams, and then we're gonna talk about merch a little bit.
Okay. First and foremost, YouTube. I'm really trying to build the YouTube channel. We checked today, we're pushing almost 200 subscribers, so thank you very much. You can like and follow us on Facebook, which we also have the Facebook Live simulcast as well. Instagram's kind of been the slow one, but with your expert tutelage, we're gonna make that grow, Dustin.
That, we do a lot of movie references behind the scenes, so I don't know if that was a movie reference or not.
Yes,
But
yes,
it's
it
Beverly
was.
Hills Cop.
You got it, expert tutelage, you got it, awesome,
Oh,
awesome. Yeah.
man, actual Foley.
With the Instagram though, it's probably more so with, like, probably like with the vast majority of our bowlers being, being a little older
Yeah.
and stuff. So, Facebook is, because I know, man, I barely use, I'm only in my late 20s and I barely use Instagram myself. So, yeah.
Right.
That was very well said, by not offending anyone.
Not offending anybody.
Because I will say a lot of times, I don't know how many times I said, man, in Alabama, everybody just wants to use Facebook around here. But no, it's good.
You know, and before that, it was always MySpace. I think I'm telling my age there, Dustin.
No, I had, dude, my MySpace page was dope, dude.
Yeah.
I had a picture of Arnold Schwarzenegger back in the day smoking a doobie with the Arnold is numero uno shirt. It was pretty sick, man.
I don't think I was old enough to have a MySpace.
Probably not. This was
2003.
Yeah.
2002, 2003,
Yeah.
right after I graduated high
I'm
school.
not even sure if I was old enough to have a Facebook. I mean, MySpace had one though.
Look, you see, like for instance, like with 9/11, man, like y'all probably remember that. Like I was in,
I was 17.
I was sitting in kindergarten, nap time on the mat.
Shit, 29, I do have you by then.
Yeah, man.
I was like 3 years into the Marines.
Oh,
wow.
I was in Norfolk, Virginia, in Fast Company in the Marines.
George, I love MySpace. George.
Yeah. Yeah, dude, I bet he had a crazy page too. Is that George from Steven and George?
yes.
What's up, George?
Yeah.
Oh, I can only imagine your page.
And
dude.
Tanya, Derwin is amazing.
Oh,
Yeah.
thank you, Tanya.
It's very well said. I'm impressed by that. So, follow the brand.
Yes.
Follow us everywhere. We are going to be building up the IG page. I'm going to be booting my podcast back up, and I think that we're going to have the Damn Good Average crew on there.
Yes.
At least Mike, if not Curtis,
No,
if he's
I
able
will.
to join us.
Mhm.
Both, we're going to try to do that, and we'll be building that one up as well. And anything else you can think of. All right, so merch, we got some merch to look forward to, I think, also. We're going to be talking about that some more. Because, Harry Beaver, he's going to be everywhere.
He's gonna be everywhere, that's right.
That's right.
Yeah, it's getting cold. Get your beanies.
Yeah.
Yes.
Get your beanies.
Well, for you being on the show, congratulations, that you have a new beanie, so.
Hey, y'all might give me a new beanie because I'm his favorite. Derwin said it here first.
Okay, Derwin, thank you so much for joining us, man. It's gonna be a pleasure on the lanes. I'm good. It's awesome that it was you, dude. That's what's cool about this place.
No, most. I think truly, and this is probably the last thing I say here today. The most important thing to me about being here, not with Damn Good Average Bowlers and just here at Penn Palace all together, is the connections that you get to make with people here that extends outside of the bowling alley. I would say that is by far, it's priceless. It's worth every penny of every account that I could think of. Is the connections that you make, and,
Yeah.
and it's amazing.
Absolutely, you're absolutely right. And that's what we're all here for. Derwin, thanks again, brother. I'll see you on the lane soon.
See you on the
And
lanes.
this is what I tell the other kids when they're bowling against my son and bowling everything else. Like, you see me out there, don't take it easy, man. I want your best.
Oh no, I will.
You're not gonna need it to win against me, but that's what I want to lose.
What does the intangible say? I will not be denied.
Oh no,